Yaffee program on WVNN.
You know, this whole issue of either making daylight savings time permanent or standard time permanent, does anyone else agree with me that maybe it's one of the dumbest issues of our time? See what I did there? Kind of a pun. Of our time? Dumbest issues of our time? Get it, Walker? Did you?
I got it.
All right. Anyway, I do want to talk about that later. I don't understand this obsession with this issue. People keep forgetting that no matter what we do, the days will get shorter. And then they'll get longer. And then they'll get shorter again. If we have daylight savings or standard time or whatever, someone's not going to be happy because of everything. We can't change how the earth is rotating around the sun, okay?
Bugsy said that we should cut it down the middle.
Just a half an hour?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Whatever. I don't this obsession with this issue in recent years. I don't understand. Maybe half an hour, 25 minutes. And we'll just make a random number. You are listening to the Yaffee program. This is the show where you can count on the latest news, the important guests, and the best analysis, all for your morning commute. Here on News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. In a moment, going to start the show kind of like I did yesterday with one question. I really want your answer to it. What the hell is wrong with us as a society? Another example, not just the daylight savings time debate, but there's another example where I have to ask this question. What is wrong with us? So we'll get to that in a moment. I also have the Alabama bullet points, the top stories from around the state. At the bottom of the hour, we'll speak with Congressman Barry Moore. As you know, he is going to be our next U.S. Senator. Yes, I know he has to win a general election, but I mean, he's going to. Like Tuberville's going to be our next governor. John Wall is going to be our next lieutenant governor. And yes, Barry Moore is going to be our next U.S. Senator. So we'll talk with him later on. Speaking of Tuberville, he gave a speech yesterday on the floor of the Senate talking about the rise of radical Islam again. It's been a topic he has mentioned. He's got a couple of bills on it, so we'll go over that. In the next hour, I was going to say that there's breaking news that ICE, Immigration Custom Enforcement, is going to change some of their policing procedures. But Trump came out again and said, no, I don't want them to change it. They're doing a great job. So we'll discuss that. As I mentioned, we'll discuss daylight savings time. I end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind. We always take your text messages on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. Walker is here. She's going to do What's Trending later on. She's producing today. Walker, how are you this morning?
Well, I start off my morning, first thing I do when I wake up is I play the Wordle of the day.
Oh, I do that too.
Oh, well, have you done today's?
No, you know what's weird? I don't know. Do you play any of the other games? Because they have a Wordle, but then they have some other games on the New York Times thing.
I do it sometimes.
I usually do connections first. I don't know why. So I have not done the Wordle yet.
All right.
Was it frustrating?
Yes. And I cannot believe that it's a real word. Eventually,
is it one of those? Because sometimes it's like an easy word, but you just can't get it. And other times it's like, that's a word?
Yeah. And I ended up just continuously typing random letters until I got it.
So did you end up getting it or no?
Yes.
So you did get it. Just was it the last time, the last row?
I think it was second to last.
Okay. Well, I mean, whatever strategy works, Walker. You won the game today. So it need to be now I'm gonna do it during the show, just so you all know.
They just need better words.
They're running out of words, good words
yes.
to do. All right. I understand. If you want to weigh in, we have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. All right, so this is why I'm asking once again, what the hell is wrong with us? Because yesterday in front of Congress, there were two Supreme Court justices, pretty rare for them to testify in front of the Senate, but two Supreme Court justices testified about security concerns. So I'll read some of this from the Associated Press. Justices tell Congress of threats to Supreme Court safety and push for more security. So Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett, the first Supreme Court justices to appear before Congress since 2019, testified in support of a funding request to beef up security for the High Court by $14.6 million. Now, Barrett told lawmakers that a sharp increase in threats targeting her and other justices is increasingly encroaching on their personal and family lives. And I'll play some of that because, they were pretty smart to have one of the more conservative justices and then one of the more liberal justices both speak. So you had Amy Coney Barrett and then you had Elena Kagan. So go ahead and start with Amy Coney Barrett for me, Walker.
When threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago, around the time of the Dobbs leak, my security detail sent me home with a bulletproof vest, and I carried it into my house, put it into my bedroom, dropped it down on a table, turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was and why I had it, and I didn't know how to respond. Maybe I lack imagination, but I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one. Many of us, me included, have received threatening, anonymous deliveries designed to intimidate and harass us.
All right, so there you go. There's part of that. It's been growing. We've talked about specific threats to Amy Coney Barrett. There used to be a time where a Supreme Court justice, they could have maybe one security guard near them. They could live a private life. Not everyone knew who they were. Well, but those times don't exist anymore. Everyone seems to know who the Supreme Court justices are. What the hell is wrong with us? How did we get to this point? Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. But Elena Kagan as well spoke on this issue. Go and play that cut for me.
For some of us, those threats have come very close, and all of us live with the knowledge that they may again materialize. When personal threats increased following the Dobbs leak, we expanded our residential security and threat assessment activities. Similarly, as online attacks grew in number and sophistication, we requested additional cybersecurity resources. Aside from annual inflationary increases, recent growth in the court's budget has been almost entirely for security expenses.
Now, I believe them. I'm sure they're right. We have heard about the threats. Some guy traveled all the way there and almost tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh. Remember that. How did we get to this point? Well, I've talked a lot about the spiritual vacuum, where we were replacing it with idols. One of those idols is politics. We believe everything Washington does somehow affects our lives. That's a big part of it. But I also think a big part of it is in the past few decades, especially the left, we decided that it was the job of the Supreme Court to do a lot of things for us. The original job of the Supreme Court was to just interpret the law. If you're mad about a law, if you're mad about something going on in the country, if you're mad about whatever in government, you should be mad not at the Supreme Court, but at Congress or the president or your local. Honestly, you're supposed to be holding your local lawmakers accountable, your state senator, your state representative, your governor, whatever it might be. Those are the ones you should be talking to. But everything has gotten so reversed in recent years that we think if the Supreme Court makes a ruling, it's their fault and they're taking away our rights or whatever it is. No, a lot of what the Supreme Court has done in recent years is given the authority back to Congress and back to the states. Most of these rulings that have become so controversial, whether it's overturning Roe v. Wade, Chevron, whatever it is, a lot of it is, okay, this is really not, it's not the job of the Supreme Court to legislate from the bench and do everything for the American people. That goes to Congress, that goes to the president, or that goes to the states. But we got so used to the Supreme Court making all these decisions, thinking that was their job. It's not their job. So when they've actually given it back to the states, if you're mad, be upset at your local lawmakers. But really, it goes back to the idea of we have decided that if the government is not doing something we like, something for us, then that's going to ruin our lives. We have replaced true purpose in our lives, which can come through faith, which can come through family, which can come through community, which can come through the church. We have decided to fill that vacuum with stuff like this. And it's gotten completely out of control. That's what's going on here. It's just the same with the reaction we've seen to Lindsey Graham. It's the same. We're going to talk a little bit later about these protests against ICE. It's all of this stuff. We become obsessed with this stuff. And a lot of it is just virtue signaling and believing Washington needs to solve all our problems. And the government, the federal government's gotten so big that we're all fighting over the spoils of whatever the government's doing or getting out. And it's really not supposed to be that way. Now, by the way, real quick on this issue, there is one thing that did come up, which I find pretty interesting. So Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana, he said he's sympathetic to some of the threats, but he also thinks they already have a lot of security. Go on and play the Joe Kennedy cut.
They already have 24-hour security, and they travel with anywhere from 4 to 8 cops at all times. So they've got better security than anybody else. I don't mean to sound unsympathetic, but 4 to 8 cops with you at all times as part of your security detail is strong as horseradish.
All right, so he says, look, I'm not unsympathetic, but they already have strong security. It seems like it's more of a funding issue, that they probably do have strong security, but it's eating up more of the funding, and that's why they need more funding. It's something I'm going to ask Congressman Barry Moore a little bit later on. But really, the main question, I want an answer. Give me an answer. What the hell is wrong with us? Why does this stuff in our society keep getting worse and boiling over? Is it just the internet? Is that what it is? We just blame the internet? You can let me know on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. 866-494-WVNN, while the Alabama bullet points coming up next as well. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
All right, Walker, you're right. I'm a little stuck on the Wordle right now. I'm trying to do it like you said. I don't know. Got a couple letters, but I got a couple more tries. All right, you were correct. I was doing that in the break. Welcome back to the Yaffee Program. Congressman Barry Moore, who is running for the U.S. Senate, is going to join us in a few minutes. Right now, though, let's get to those headlines once again. We have the Alabama bullet points.
Alabama bullet points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Sponsored by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Number 4 today, the Alabama House delegation helps pass a bill making daylight savings time permanent. Now, it's still got to go through the Senate, but the U.S. House of Representatives recently passed the Sunshine Protection Act by a 308 to 117 vote to make daylight savings time permanent and eliminate the twice-yearly ritual of changing the clocks. Now, the bill received bipartisan support from Alabama's congressional delegation, with representatives noting that constituents, families, and farmers are tired of the seasonal disruptions and prefer having an extra hour in the evening of sunlight. While supporters like Representatives Barry Moore and Dale Strong lauded the bill for simplifying daily life and boosting evening daylight, Representative Robert Adderholt expressed a minor concern regarding student safety. He noted the permanent daylight savings time would delay winter sunrises until nearly 8 a.m. in North Alabama, potentially requiring adjustments to school start times. And he's right about that. Number 3 today, Alabama Republican Party Chairman Stadthagen, well, he is expressing frustration over Democrats meddling in Republican primaries. So Alabama Republican Party Chairman Scott Stadthagen is advocating for closed primary elections in Alabama, expressing frustration over what he views as Democratic meddling in Republican primaries. His comments were prompted by Alabama Democratic Party Vice Chair Tabitha Eisner, who publicly urged Democratic voters to select Republican ballots in an upcoming special primary on August 11th, specifically in congressional districts 1, 2, and 7, where no Democrat ballot is available. Now, Stadhagen argues that Democrats are voting for weaker Republican candidates to sabotage the GOP's starting lineup ahead of the general election. While frustrated, Stadhagen noted a silver lining, suggesting that these overt crossover efforts provide Republican lawmakers with greater leverage to pass a closed primaries bill during the next session. He said it's going to be a priority when Tuberville becomes governor. Number 2 today, Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, who's actually a really funny guy, by the way, if you've ever seen him speak, but he is backing Congressman Jerry Carl in Alabama's 1st congressional district, called him the comeback kid. He said, like the president, I'm for Jerry Carl. So U.S. Representative Tim Burchett out of Tennessee has officially endorsed former Representative Jerry Carl in his comeback bid for Alabama's 1st congressional district in the upcoming August 11th Republican special primary. Now, in a campaign video, Burchett praised Carl as a sensible, effective lawmaker who Congress needs back in Washington, aligning his support with Donald Trump's complete and total endorsement of Carl. Now, Carl, who previously served from 2021 to 2025, but lost a redistrict primary in 2024 to Representative Barry Moore, launched his campaign after Moore entered the race for Alabama's open U.S. Senate seat. Now, Burchett's backing adds to a strong lineup of conservative support for Carl, which includes Senator Katie Britt. And number 1, speaking of Senator Katie Britt, Britt attended the swearing-in ceremony of Lindsey Graham's sister, said he would be so proud. So U.S. Senator Katie Britt attended the Senate swearing-in ceremony of Darlene Graham Nordone, who is the sister of the late U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham. Now, Graham, as you know, died suddenly at the age of 71 over the weekend. Nordone was appointed by South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster to fill the remainder of her brother's Senate term, a move suggested by President Donald Trump. Now, reflecting on her close friendship with Graham, Britt expressed her pride and support, recalling that Graham often called his sister his greatest accomplishment and noting that he would be so proud to see her take his place. Now, Nordone will hold the seat leading up to the special primary election in August to fill the vacancy with the general election scheduled for November. And from what I've seen, there are no signs that she is actually going to run in the primary and run in November. So it's just a few months she'll be holding that seat for his late brother. So there you go. We'll talk about Lindsey Graham's legacy next with Congressman Barry Moore as well. In this segment of the program, brought to you by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn, 2 locations. Yes, I'm sure you already know about, but let me remind you here. One in Madison of Greenbrier Exit 3 by the Big Rusty Water Tower. Another in Huntsville off North Memorial Parkway. It's still summer, and that means it's still wedding season. And, I mean, it's hard to have a wedding without a ring. It's hard to have a wedding if you haven't even gotten engaged. If you need to get that engagement ring, if you need to ask the big question, you can go to the mall or something. You're going to pay too much. Instead, go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn and see what they have for you. Or maybe you're just looking for a nice gift for your wife. They have other kinds of jewelry as well when it comes to earrings, necklaces, antique jewelry, permanent jewelry. Or maybe you're shopping for something completely different. They have all kinds of stuff to shop for, including new and used firearms. They are the official Ruger Superstore in the area. So go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn today. And when you do, oh, by the way, go to the website, pistolandpawn.com, pistolandpawn.com. When you go, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. So a couple of things I want to talk to the congressman about in the next segment. I know he voted for the daylight savings time thing. I want to know, he had given his condolences to the death of Lindsey Graham. I want to ask him about the latest in Iran. Also, these ICE protests as ICE agents have killed 2 immigrants who they say were weaponizing their cars in recent days and caused a change of policy. He also still has his bill trying to ban Sharia law in the country. So there's a lot to get to. It's been a couple of weeks, and we'll ask him about his campaign as well. And speaking on the issue of Sharia law, Tommy Tuberville gave a speech in the Senate. I can ask Congressman Barry Moore about that, but he gave a speech in the Senate. I'll play a cut of that. And later on, yes, we'll go over the issue with ICE, including one commentator who, I don't know, she basically said that people in the White House want immigrants to be killed, which is absurd and ridiculous. So we'll get to that much more here on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Scrolling with Haley.
I am Haley Carania. I scroll with the homies here in the live chat because there's a lot to scroll through on X, on Instagram, on TikTok.
Cutting through the clutter, one hot take at a time.
Love seeing you all in the chat before the show. I tried to jump in just a few minutes before to say hello. I love the chat interaction. Thank you for helping. But I do it to get all of the videos and all of the content that you won't find anywhere else.
Scrolling with Haley.
Just search that up and I will be there.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
We're back here on the Yaffee program, Wednesday edition of the show here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Yes, I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience. And you can always weigh in on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. Without the Save America Act, Americans may never trust an election again. Listen to the president and nuke the filibuster to get it done. That's what Congressman Barry Moore said recently. He posted about that on X, has been posting a lot about that, talking a lot about that. And the congressman is joining me on the show right now. He is also a candidate for the U.S. Senate. Congressman Barry Moore, thank you so much for coming on once again.
Hey, Yaffee, great to be on the Voice of Reason as always, my friend.
Thank you. So I have to admit, though, I become more skeptical every day that this bill is going to ever pass. It just doesn't seem like there's a way to get it through the Senate as of right now. Is it going to take like after the midterms to maybe get it done?
You know, I don't know. I think it's risky for us to wait till after the midterms. The problem we're running into is we have a slim majority now, but if you let people who are not U.S. citizens vote in U.S. elections, then they're going to vote for the people who are paying them to come here and paying them to stay and funding their lifestyle in America at taxpayer expense. So we really need to get this done. The president's pushing, we're pushing, and, you know, we're going to continue to put the pressure on the Senate to get this across the finish line. We've passed it, I think, 3 times now out of the House, and there's no sense that it's sitting over in the Senate. We're trying to figure out how to loop it in with reconciliation. There are some things we can do, we think we can do, but it's only going to be pieces and parts of the Save America Act. But in reality, you know, and I know, the American people want this. There's no reason for the Senate not to go in and take care of the job. And look, there's only 6 reasons in the founding documents for you don't need a filibuster for a 2/3 vote. And, you know, for us to use the filibuster as an excuse, as some rule the Senate has, and let the parliamentarian who was appointed by Harry Reid to make those decisions, I think it's not good for this country. It's not good for the security of the elections and the integrity, those sort of things. The foreign interference in the election, we're getting with what the Democrat parties did with the open borders, issuing IDs to people who are non-citizens. We got to make sure we're securing our elections, and the pressure is on in the Senate. We're going to continue to apply the pressure from the executive branch, from the House of Representatives, to make sure the Senate does their job and pass the Save America Act.
So, you know, President Donald Trump, when he was doing interviews on Sunday about the sudden death of his friend Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, he had mentioned that Graham was talking about getting the Save America Act passed. I know you had posted condolences about the death of Lindsey Graham. Did you know him well at all? I mean, what are your thoughts on his legacy?
So the times I've been around him, I didn't know him real well. We weren't close, but he had a great sense of humor, and somehow or another, he had managed in the Senate to bridge the gap for the president to a lot of people who weren't quite as populist as the president is, or maybe some of us in Congress. But Lindsey had a way of making relationships and friendships and often getting things done. Now, I didn't agree with him 100% of the time on his votes. Obviously, he doesn't agree with me 100% of the time on mine, but I think Lindsey did a good job, and he was a friend of the president. He was a leader in the Senate, obviously. And, you see these stories. His net worth was just $1 million. I mean, he'd been here, I don't know how many years he'd been in the Senate, but it's a stark contrast to some of these people who have been here and gotten rich doing the job. I think Lindsey was truly a public servant, and I think his record shows that. He's going to be sorely missed in the Senate. I know the president's going to miss him because he and the president golfed a lot together. They were good friends. And like I said, every time I've been around Lindsey, he had an incredible sense of humor. He was a conservative on many of the issues, the social issues that we agree on. And so he was a friend and a fighter, and we're going to miss him.
So one thing he was doing right before he died, he had traveled to Ukraine, talked about new sanctions against Russia, It seems like Ukraine has really had an advantage recently. Any thoughts on the latest there, and any thoughts on what Congress might do about that?
I think that there obviously has to be, as we look at this situation, and of course, again, I trust the president on foreign policy. He gets it right so often. But I think Ukraine has done what very few people thought they could do, and they've resisted Putin and the Russian military for an extended period of time. They've held their own. And when I was in Ukraine before this broke out, it's been years ago now, before the war broke out, I was in 21 in August. I was over there. And I saw the reservists, the Ukrainian guys that were going to, at this time, they didn't know Russia was invading, but I met with enough of them to know that they're very tough people. They're they have a great love for their country, and they're fighters. And so they've done yeoman's work in that battle. And so as we look at funding that, we just have to make sure money's not going to Hunter Biden and Burisma and places like that. There needs to be accountability and oversight when we're sending that money. And I think the president understands that. And certainly I think Ukraine's in a better position than they were 3 or 4 years ago when this thing started. And Russia's a pretty, they're pretty bold. Putin's pretty bold in his leadership, and I think he wants to unite. I think his goal is to unite the former USSR. And he made moves when Obama was in office, and he made some moves, obviously, with Biden, and some things that Biden did allowed the opportunity. And we looked so weak in our withdrawal from Afghanistan in 21. I think that was a green light for Russia to make a move. And it wasn't long after the failed withdrawal in Afghanistan that Russia felt emboldened to invade Ukraine, because we were weak. There was no peace through strength with Joe Biden in office. And so, yeah, they've got an opportunity. I think they've held on longer than most people thought. They've done what many people thought they wouldn't be able to do. Russia, I think, thought they'd roll in, take over, and be done. And, boy, the Ukrainians have held the line.
Yeah, and then looking at another foreign policy issue, you obviously have escalating tensions once again against Iran. The memorandum of understanding just seems to be done with now. There have been more strikes against Iran. Any thoughts on the latest there? I mean, it just seems like we're going to have to force the Strait open ourselves with our military.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's kind of, America's going to have to take control of that strait until that regime is totally dismantled. The president has done what he could to keep peace, to try to allow the regime to negotiate, to give them opportunities to be at the table, to have a say in the process and the future of their leadership. But I have said this before, they are very apocalyptic in their worldview. They don't see things the way we see things, and we cannot have them controlling that strait. That's a huge, probably one of the top economic straits in the world. And, look, if the regime don't want to be at the table, that's fine. President Trump can pull the chair out from under him on this thing, and I think he's going to do that. He has given them opportunities. He's not looking for wars. He don't want an extended battle or war in that region. He don't want that. He wants to be able to work with whoever will work with him. But it looks like this regime just cannot be trusted. I think that the president is starting to strike down some of their other areas. And look, he's gonna hold. You don't mess with Donald Trump. I mean, he'll give you opportunities, but at some point, he's tired of playing games and trying to force you to the table and the peace through strength policies. He'll go over there, and the U.S. will control the strait until the time that we see that somebody we can trust will actually come to the table and make a negotiation deal that we can agree on.
Now, of course, one issue that comes up, I'm speaking with Congressman Barry Moore on the show. He's a candidate for the U.S. Senate. One of the issues that comes up, obviously, is the price of oil, the price of gasoline. Of course, people expected it to be a lot worse in the beginning. I mean, obviously higher than it was before the war, but not as bad as some might have thought. And I did see as well, and I feel like it's not getting enough attention, but it's a big deal, that the Consumer Price Index actually declined by 0.4% in June. That is the first time the U.S. has recorded deflation for the first time since 2020. So it does really show that Trump has, done well on inflation. It's just gas prices have affected it.
Yeah, I mean, downward pressure on spending in D.C., we create inflation by printing dollars that compete against the working dollar out in America. And so we put downward pressure on spending. Obviously, we've cut a lot of spending. We continue to do away with a lot of the fraud. Those sort of things are going to add to the U.S. bottom line. They're going to lower the need for printing of money. And that helps with inflation, obviously, because, again, the velocity of that dollar that we print that chases after those goods and services, as a consumer out there, you're working for that dollar, so your dollar's not going far. And I think, too, what we did in Venezuela our energy policies, the things that the president is doing. There's so much more than just Iran going on energy and spending that this economy is going to be fine. Obviously, this is a blip in the radar screen in the sense that Iran and the Strait, that conflict drove prices up, the uncertainty, and the oil being able to go through the Strait was a problem. But from the backup of Venezuela, us building actually some refineries here in the U.S. now, we're starting to look at energy more friendly. Our energy resources, natural gas and oil that the U.S. has, we're accessing, we're allowing permitting processes. So there will be things that we're going to do on energy and spending that are going to help the consumers. It'll take a little time, obviously, coming, like you said, since 21 with Biden and the printing of money during COVID. They created a ton of inflation that we're battling. But again, I think the president's doing the right thing on Iran. That's leadership in an election year, going out and doing what you say, what people said they were going to do for 40-some years and didn't do. The president is now doing. And we're going to continue with the policies, but also in energy especially, to make sure that we get energy costs down so that the American people feel that at the gas pump and at the grocery store.
Speaking with Congressman Barry Moore, we have a lot still to talk about. One thing I did want to ask you, you had members of the Supreme Court, 2 of the Supreme Court justices, say that they have security concerns. Now, you can look at the big picture and say it's a sad state in our country that we have to worry about that. But on the issue itself, do you think maybe they need some more funding when it comes to security, Supreme Court justices?
Yeah, I think obviously, Chuck Schumer, actually made 2 of them a target of a speech he gave, I think, on the steps of the Capitol a few years ago. And they need to be protected. We've had situations where there have been assassination attempts on justices. I think Kavanaugh was one of the targets, if I remember correctly. But it just seems like more and more the vitriol, the left in this country, whether it's Charlie Kirk or the President of the United States or countless other attacks, the Supreme Court justices, they have obviously a very important position, and they make some major decisions, and the left does not always like that. And we've seen that they will resort to violence. And so, we may have to look at giving them some security, some protection, because they need to be able to live their lives and do their jobs without threat of physical harm.
So, and that kind of goes to ICE agents as well, right? We have this issue in Maine, some protests. They're trying to get into Susan Collins' office. You had ICE agents killed a couple of immigrants. They say the cars were weaponized against them, so it was self-defense. But you have Democrats blaming ICE, possible change in ICE policy. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the news on this. What's your reaction?
Well, the ICE is just doing their job. We've agreed, we don't mind them having body cams, but putting their names and allowing them to be doxxed, it puts them and their families at danger. And again, there's no limit to what the left will do in this country, the violence that they've resorted to, and we've seen it time and time again. That we're going to stand with our federal agents, we're going to support the law, and we're going to support the men and women that are doing their jobs. And so, it's a shame that it's gotten to this point. You can't even have a dialogue anymore. If you disagree with somebody, it seems like the left wants to resort to violence, and you see it on the left. You don't see it on the right in this country. It's just the left is losing control. Policies do not work, so they've resorted to violence. And even cheating in elections, whatever they can do to try and maintain power, that's all it's about. And so we're going to support our federal law enforcement officers. We're going to make sure they're safe. We're going to give them the funding and the protection they need. And tough luck. We're not going to allow the Democrats to have those people doxxed and attacked because they're doing the job. The federal law, we passed the laws. They're enforcing the federal laws. They're doing the job that the American people have asked them to do. And for the most part, they're doing it well. And so, sure, the media takes 1 or 2 incidences out of context, but the job that they have to do is incredibly hard in extenuating circumstances. And for us to make sure that we protect those, that's part of our job. We're going to continue to do that.
Congressman Barry Moore running for the U.S. Senate. Real quick, how's the campaign going?
Going well. We got the Republican nomination, so in November we just got to make sure our people get out and vote. But we feel good about where we're at, Yaffee, and we're in a good position. Obviously, the president has been a dear ally, and so many good conservatives around the state of Alabama come to our aid and helped us, and so we're honored to be where we're at. We're humbled by that, obviously, and we'll continue to work hard in November to win this thing, and then go on to do a job as a true conservative in the U.S. Senate.
Congressman Barry Moore, really appreciate it. I know we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thank you, Yaffee.
All right, there you go. If you want to react to anything we talked about, we covered a lot of ground there. You can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. We'll be back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
The Yaffee program.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Always here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN, doing my part to make radio great again. We spoke with Congressman Barry Moore about the latest issue with ICE agents and whether they can do traffic stops anymore. We'll talk more about that a little bit in the next hour, a lot to get to. I did want to get to these cuts of Senator Tommy Tuberville. He's going to be our next governor. And once again, I mean, he's been really big on this issue. Once again, talking about the threat of radical Islamism. Now, I'll tell you where I agree with what he said and maybe where I disagree a little bit here. But go on and play Tuberville Cut 1 for me, Walker.
The report states that roughly 87% of those convicted in the child sexual exploitation cases bore distinctive Muslim names. Surprise, surprise. That's because these heinous acts are acceptable and even encouraged under the teaching of Islam. Islam teaches that Muslims are superior to non-believers and enables Muslim men to treat non-Muslim girls as property available for sexual abuse. Muhammad taught his followers that men are superior to women. Men can marry women without consent as young as 6 years old, and men can sexually abuse and rape non-Muslim women. It's their right, they think. Where is the outrage from the so-called feminist groups on this issue? They're nowhere to be found, unfortunately. The report goes on to say that there was a deliberate failure in the United Kingdom to protect victims or to stop this from happening.
So I want to tell you where I think he's right. What happened in the UK with these rape gangs? Yeah, radical Islamism is connected to that. And frankly, we don't want to talk about it. But yes, he's right. There are teachings in the Quran that could justify some of that in their minds. The one issue I have, though, is, let's be honest, not every Muslim in the world is going to do something like that. Now, as a Christian, I have big problems with the Islamic religion. Obviously, I'm a Christian. But when you're talking about trying to get laws passed that are effective, you got to be specific. You got to target radical Islamism, not just all Muslims. Because if you just target all Muslims, you're just going to be called an Islamophobe, a racist, and things aren't going to get passed. I still think it's a distinction he really should be better at making. But I also understand why he's doing it. Now go on and play Tuberville Cut 2.
You'd have to be stupid to think that what's happening in Europe couldn't happen here. Oh, it can't happen in the United States. It's happening as we speak. The same cult ideology that empowered human trafficking of white women in the United Kingdom is alive and well here in the United States of America. I'm calling on President Trump to ban Muslim Brotherhood from this country. They don't need to be here. They're our enemies. They're inside the gates. We also need to ban Sharia law on a federal level, not just state levels. This hateful, murderous ideology has no place in our country, and it is growing, and we're not saying anything about it. It doesn't need to be here now. It doesn't need to be here ever. We better wake up.
So I agree with that part. I think those laws are just fine. Ban the Muslim Brotherhood, ban Sharia law, make sure it doesn't get a foothold in our country. People can say, oh, that can never happen, like he was saying there. But, I mean, all you have to do is look at Europe. It has become a big problem in Europe. There's a reason why a lot of the right-wing governments there are starting to do better, because they see the problem. It's a one thing to allow individual Muslims to enter into the country, become immigrants, eventually citizens. But if you just have an open-door policy, you can create problems. And unfortunately, in certain parts of the world, that radical Islamic ideology exists. And we can't just ignore it. And political correctness or whatever kind of gets in the way of reality that we should face. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. Right now, I'm going to weigh in on my good friends at Jay's Appliance Outlet. Upgrade your home with brand new appliances that they have for great prices. Top deals on, say, refrigeration. They have French door, side-by-side, and built-in refrigerators at outlet prices. You know, you drive by the store. They're located off 72 in Athens. You can see the sign outside, up to 60% off. I mean, they mean it. You're going to get some great deals. Or how about some great deals on new laundry appliances? High-performance washers and dryers from top brands. And like I said, at outlet pricing. They have dishwashers, cooking appliances, so much more for you at Jay's Appliance Outlet. Now, you can find out more on the website, jaysapplianceoutlet.com. Go to the showroom, like I said, off 72 in Athens, or give them a call. Dial pound 250, say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet. They can service what they sell as well. They can help fix your appliance as well. Go to Jay's Appliance Outlet today. When you do, let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. We'll be back here in just a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet. Go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
Jeff Jarrett, great to see you.
In this business, the story behind the scenes, so much more entertaining than what you see on camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
Mr. Heyman, you are a master at the little things. That's how you turn good into great.
What does it take to achieve greatness? Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do.
That's an Emmy-winning performance.
How about it?
Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The Yaffee program on WVNN.
All right, so now we got President Trump weighing in when it comes to ICE operations. Kind of breaking news this morning. Not too surprising. I would have guessed from what you would hear from Trump. So we'll cover that. We'll cover that here in a moment. But he basically says that he wants ICE agents to keep doing traffic stops, which apparently that was on pause for a bit. So let me read some of this. I saw here in the Wall Street Journal. It says Trump reverses ICE decision to suspend traffic stops. The president's decision comes after a federal immigration officer fatally shot a 26-year-old man in Maine. So President Trump said U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers should continue using traffic stops to arrest immigrants, reversing a recent decision by the agency. He said, he posted this on Truth Social, said, quote, "We must be strong, tough, and smart, and we cannot give up one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop. Once we do, we are playing right into the criminals' hands." Now, the president encouraged ICE officers to be judicious, fair, and smart, and go back and do your very important job. Now, the White House and the Department of Homeland Security didn't immediately respond to a request for comment, according to the Journal here. Now, earlier this week, ICE leadership instructed officers not to stop moving vehicles to arrest or question the occupants inside. That's according to a current and former ICE officer familiar with the matter. Now, the decision came after a federal immigration officer fatally shot a 26-year-old man in coastal Maine. DHS said officers were conducting an operation related to a final order of removal at the residence. Officers tried to stop a person leaving the home in a vehicle, and an officer who was fearing for public safety discharged his weapon. Now, I do think it's kind of interesting. He did not say fearing for his life. He said fearing for public safety, which is a little bit different. Now, the real issue here, one, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. In one sense, I understand that we need body cams because body cams, a lot of times, justify the officer. But I also understand that those on the left who are protesting, they'll ignore what they see with their own eyes. They will ignore it and still lie about it and still say ICE are just murderers or something. So we'll talk about it. I want to get your reaction. I mean, do you think there needs to be more training? I'm sure many of you listening support body cameras. And should they stop traffic stops, at least temporarily? Or do you agree with Trump? Let me know on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. You are listening to the Yaffee program. This is the show where you can count on the latest news, the important guests, and the best analysis, all for your morning commute on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. I'm Alabama's voice of reason and a true voice of truth in a world that, yes, is sometimes beyond reason. Now, I just talked about someone who was killed in Maine. There was another one as well recently, which led to this recent pause in traffic stops. My guess is that the reason why they wanted to pause traffic stops for now is they probably want to make sure that ICE agents get the body cameras. They probably just wanted to pause so they each have body cameras and then they can get back to it. It says here, though, last week a man was killed during an immigration enforcement operation in Houston. DHS initially said that the man had weaponized his vehicle and that an immigration officer fired in self-defense. Lawmakers in Maine and Texas have said neither man was the intended target of the enforcement operations. Now, traffic stops are one of the most common tools used by immigration officers to carry out arrests. And Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin spoke with Senator Susan Collins after Monday's shooting in Maine and discussed suspending the use of traffic stops, according to people familiar. And as you know, Collins is up for re-election. You know, it's interesting. I saw some of the videos of some of the protesters yesterday, and you would think it would be like immigrants themselves protesting, or you'd think it would be like young radicals. A lot of them looked like old senior citizens. I'm not going to lie, just what it looked like in the video. Boomers. That was my response. Boomers. If we're going to go down that road. I don't think it's all boomers' fault. I'm just saying it's just kind of weird that I see a lot of these left-wing protests since Trump was reelected, and a lot of times it's like it's boomers, it's older people, which is kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of strange to me. I just don't get it. Anyway, Tom Homan, who is Trump's border czar, also helping out with ICE. I think he does a good job, but he did speak with reporters on this issue yesterday. Go ahead and play the Tom Homan clip for me, Walker.
I talked to the ICE director last night. There's a schedule for distribution. Right now they're in the middle of train to trainer. I didn't ask for the deployment schedule, but he says he has a deployment schedule. And as soon as the train to trainer is done, the trainers will get the cameras and they'll deploy as quick as possible. I'm confident they're going to get back to their policy of vehicle stops, but they're doing, what they believe is a necessary short-term pause just to look at it and make sure everything's good. I don't know the specifics of these agents that are involved, but it's under investigation, and we'll find out how the investigation lands. We'll let the investigation play out, and where it lands, it lands. If officers acted inappropriately or illegally, they'd be held accountable, just like they were in Minnesota.
By the way, I just have to say, I'm so glad he's there and not Kristi Noem anymore. I mean, what he said there is the right thing to say. There's an investigation, but we have to enforce immigration law. Oh, and by the way, listen to the commands of officers. ICE agents are officially law enforcement. You have to listen to their commands. That's the reality. You can't just act differently because you're against ICE or something. It's not how this works. Now, go ahead. I know the Democrats, though, are going to use this once again. Go ahead and play the Chuck Schumer cut. This is the Senate minority leader in the Senate yesterday.
If Republicans had passed our bill, there would be body cameras, proper agent ID, warrant requirements, and other common sense reforms, and these killings might not have happened.
Yeah, there would also be more illegal immigrants coming into the country because you would just make it very, very difficult to ICE to do their jobs. Now, Republicans agreed with body cameras. That's one of the issues. Why didn't these agents have body cameras? That is a legitimate question because they were supposed to. They're saying it's because of the government shutdown. It was kind of slow rolling some of this out. But we talked about it with Congressman Barry Moore in the last hour. Body cameras, yes. But once you start having all this ID and doxing agents, we know what's happening. We just talked about earlier how Supreme Court justices need all this security now. Could you imagine what an ICE officer who is doxed would need? They don't have the resources of the Supreme Court. It's an unfortunate reality in our world, but it's the reality. It's understandable why Republicans were against some of what the Democrats were proposing. And we talked about it at the time. They knew Republicans weren't going to be on board. Now, I wanted to play this cut as well. I just happened to see this. It was a conversation that was happening on Morning Joe on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And they had one of their left-wing commentators on. Her name is Mara Gay. And her reaction is just, I know this is what we do now. We go on cable television. We have to say radical things so it can go viral. Although I think she probably believes it. But go on and play Amara Gay cut 1 for me, Walker.
Yeah. They shot into a car at the wrong guy.
Well, there's no excuse for this, no matter who he was. People should not be gunned down in the streets of America or anywhere else. We are waiting for details, but the witness accounts suggest that there were children on the scene. So I'm having trouble, as you said, Joe, understanding how gunshots are going to improve public safety at 8 in the morning in a coastal town in Maine, as someone who is authorized to work here is driving to work potentially with his child in the back seat, is what it looks like. We don't know for sure. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, too, the anger that Americans feel was, I think we saw some of it, just a taste of it, when protesters came to Susan Collins' office yesterday demanding that...
Why didn't she vote to fund this? To give ICE more money than ever before?
Right, I think that's right. She voted.
Wouldn't she be the one that would require body cams being worn for the billions of dollars that she's handed over to these agents who are going around shooting people in their cars, killing Americans in Minneapolis?
I just have to say, this narrative that ICE, they're just going around shooting people in their cars. Trust me, ICE agents don't want to do that. They don't want to have to do that. Why would they want to be a part of that firestorm? They're not going out looking for people to kill. Why would they want that? Of course they don't want that. And usually there's more to the story, just like in Minneapolis, which we talked about at the time. Go ahead and play cut 2 of Mara Gay.
Right. And I just want to say, I don't live in Maine. I'm not an immigrant, but I'm a proud American. And this administration has made every single American complicit in these deaths. This is happening with our taxpayer dollars that could be going to schools, to health care.
Because what Susan Maine and Republicans are doing. And they've sat back and let this happen.
But the other thing here is the hardliners in this administration, they don't care about the politics because many of them are white supremacists. And they don't care. They're cruel. And this is what they want. This is the same administration that removed protections for Haitians, for Syrians. At the same time, it's allowing more Afrikaners only, white South Africans only in. So this is all one of a piece. And when we ask ourselves, why is this administration doing something that is so obviously bad politics in addition to cruel and un-American? I think we need to really look carefully at all the anti-democratic behavior from this White House, because this is not a popular policy. So why would someone pursue a popular policy in a midterm year?
It's extraordinarily unpopular. And
all right, so it's just going back to the typical thing. Oh, these are just white supremacists. They want people to be killed. They want this. Trust me, the administration, President Trump, Tom Homan, Mark Wayne Mullen, trust me, they don't want this. They do not want this firestorm. The ICE agents do not want this. It is not as simple as what she is making it out to be. Now, I also have to go over once again this idea that we could, if we didn't spend on national security, on ICE, we could afford health care and we could afford schools. We spend more in this country right now on health care than any of those other things already. Medicare, Medicaid. That doesn't even include a lot of the Obamacare stuff. This idea that our problem in our healthcare system is that the federal government isn't spending enough because we have ICE agents is so stupid. I hate that argument. It's not the problem. It's like people that get mad at school choice. Well, that's money going away from public schools. Money to public schools is not the problem. It's so annoying. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. I also, in the next segment, we'll kind of move on because another topic that just is annoying me today is this whole daylight savings time thing. So we'll get to that much more next here on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. We're here on Newstalk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Glad you have joined the show today. I guess if we make daylight savings time permanent, that would mean right now, we're in daylight savings time right now, correct? Yes. So that means right now, instead of it being 10:24, no, it would stay 10:24, but it would also stay 10:24 forever, right? Am I right? I'm not sure. What does everyone think about making daylight savings time permanent? The reason I bring this up, and I'll read some of this from 1819 News, is that, yes, the U.S. House of Representatives has approved the legislation that would make daylight savings time permanent across the country. So on Tuesday, the Sunshine Protection Act passed by the lower chamber, passed by a vote of 308 to 117, gaining the support of Alabama's Republican congressional delegation. So you had Adderholt, Barry Moore, Dale Strong, Sewell, Shamari Figures, all voted in favor of the bill. Now, this is what Adderholt said about it. I said, the twice-a-year time change has long been a source of frustration for families, businesses, and workers across the country. Is it really? Is it really that frustrating? I just don't understand. I've heard from many constituents who simply want to pick one time and stick with it. The Sunshine Protection Act accomplishes that by providing consistency throughout the year. Now, look, I guess it provides consistency. Now, first, I do have to say, somebody earlier on, they texted in, they didn't like my joke. That, is this one of the dumbest issues of our time? Huh? Get it? Of our time, like time period, but also, I'm working on my dad jokes. Okay, I'm a dad now, I got to work on it. But seriously, whatever we do, there will be times of the year where it gets darker early. That's just the reality. So if we don't have daylight savings time, or if we do, let me put it this way. If we keep daylight savings time permanent, there will still be times of the year where the days are not as long, which means there will be times of the year where it's going to be darker later in the morning. So if we change this, there are definitely going to be parts of the country, but there are going to be a lot of people upset if we go away from this. So if we keep it permanent, if we change it, no one is going to be happy, it seems like. This is going to be an issue forever. Because you can't change how the sun rotates or how the earth rotates around the sun. That's how the earth's axis and everything. You can't change that. Now, they say there are studies done that it can mess with you on the day when you change the clock. I feel like if it really affects you that much, you had other problems to begin with. I mean, I hate to be like that, but if it really affects you and really affects your health, changing an hour one day, twice a year, that you had other problems, other health problems already. And by the way, it affects me. I get it. It affects me. I have a 2-year-old. I have another child is 4 months old. They don't understand the time change, and my cats certainly don't understand it. But man, we have made this such an issue, and people get so passionate about it. And I frankly, I don't understand. I don't understand it. I think it's sort of, it's like one of those moral panics where we really think, I guess it's just one of those things that we all have to do. So everyone knows about it. So everyone has an opinion on it. But I really think this issue is pretty dumb. One person said, I'm only going to say it once. That's the dumbest damn idea I ever heard. It was someone who texted in. Okay. Another person texted in and said, let's just make a decision on the time and move on. Here's the thing. If we make a decision, if this country does, and I don't think his bill is going to pass the Senate. There are several senators, including Tom Cotton, who came out against it for the reasons of it's going to be dark later in the morning. But even if this passes, I don't even think that will move on. I think there'll just be another group in a few years that want to change it back, and we'll just have this debate again. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't understand. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. Right now, I want to weigh in on my good friends at the Huntsville Men's Clinic celebrating their 5-year anniversary. They're part of a team that's treated Alabama men for ED and low testosterone for almost 15 years. And something really has changed this past year. New options, care taken to another level. Come see what's new. So if you're dealing with low energy guys, and it's not just the time change or something. No, it could be caused by low testosterone, and the pills don't work for everyone. And when they do, a lot of guys deal with a headache. How about treatments that actually work? If the pills haven't worked or never really did, that's what the Huntsville Men's Clinic is built for. So I want you to go, call today, 256-368-0333, or go to the website, huntsvillemensclinic.com. It's $99 for that testosterone and PSA test, and you get your numbers in about an hour. You get treatments in about an hour. Give them a call, 256-368-0333, or go to huntsvillemensclinic.com. Tell them Yaffee was the one who sent you. We'll get to what's trending in a moment here on the Yaffee program.
Yaffee program.
Scrolling with Haley. Join Haley Caronia as she scrolls through the biggest headlines.
If you haven't watched this show before, we do blind reactions. I have not seen these videos, so I am seeing them for the first time with all of you. We're going to implement the tinfoil hat time segments and all the stuff you know and love. And I'm going to finish the show and answer some of your questions. Someone asked me what made you get into podcasting, and I was producing podcasts for other people. And I was like, I could do this for myself, and here I am.
Scrolling with Haley. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
And always here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Don't forget to like the Yaffee Facebook page. Follow me on X at Yaffee or Instagram at Yaffee Live. Always posting stuff there. You can also read my articles at yellowhammernews.com. Check that out as well. Walker is here producing, so let's get right to it. We have What's Trending with Walker.
Keeping you up to date with all that's trending in your world.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
You guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's What's Trending.
And it's sponsored by Coleman Furniture Market. They always keep your house, help you at least keep your house up to date with the latest furniture. And they got their big sale going on right now, the Southern Social Sale. That's right, summer is in full bloom, and so are the savings. So they're introducing the Southern Social Tax Amount Discount Event. So for a limited time, they are covering the sales tax equivalent on all their favorite collections. So if you see something you like, you can see the latest stuff on their Facebook page or Instagram page. Go to the showroom. It's located in the heart of Coleman, Alabama, and you can see more about the deal at their website, ColemanFurnitureMarket.com. And their showroom's located on 1807 2nd Avenue Southwest in Coleman, Alabama. They always have what's trending in furniture. When you go, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, Walker, what's number 5 today?
Number 5 today, as usual, I gotta tell you something to make you hungry.
Yeah, okay, I know. I expected at this point.
McDonald's is introducing a new Caesar sauce.
Kind of like Caesar dressing, I guess?
Yes, it is a creamy, garlicky Parmesan blend with notes of lemon. And they've also brought 2 new items. The Caesar snack wrap, which is $2.99.
That sounds good.
Yes, it has a McCrispy strip with shredded cheese, shredded lettuce, and Caesar sauce. And then there's a bacon Caesar McCrispy sandwich that has bacon, shredded lettuce, tomatoes, crispy onions, and pickles with a McCrispy fillet that is on a potato roll.
I mean, all that sounds pretty good, actually.
Yes.
I like their snack wraps.
I will probably be going to get the snack wrap
after
today.
Yeah. They sold you. Look at that. Good marketing on their part.
Yeah, I really miss their snack wraps. And a lot of people are saying, well, now that they have Caesar sauce, can they bring back the Caesar salads, which were discontinued in 2020?
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They haven't had those in a while. I remember they had the salad shakers years ago.
Yes, people are asking for those to come back too.
That's so funny because people like hated them at the time. That's why they got rid of them. But now people want them back.
I don't get why people would hate them.
I think it's because they found out like with the dressing, it was more calories than like a sandwich or something, if I remember right. But
well,
I don't know.
I think a lot of places I've noticed at like a lot of steakhouses, if you look at the salad and the pasta, the calories are almost the same because
I know
of
it's so
all
true.
how heavy the dressing is.
Yeah, and they'll put like a lot of meat on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a that's a good point. Okay, so you're right. That made me hungry. Well done. What's number 4?
Number 4, Erling Haaland has really gained the attention of TSA after he got off a plane carrying a taxidermy raccoon holding a liquor bottle. And this, people are not surprised that he did this because he is known for his very goofy personality. If you don't know who he is a Manchester soccer player that has broken goal scoring records, a total of 36 in one season.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And while he was in Dallas during the World Cup, the TSA made a post after seeing him getting off the plane saying, "We're getting some questions about flying with taxidermy raccoons holding empty liquor bottles. It's okay with us, but please check with your airline first."
So, okay, it's funny. You sent me the picture. I thought it was a real raccoon for a second.
Well, I mean, it technically is.
Well, that's true. But I thought it was like a live, like when I see him holding him, like, why does this guy have a pet raccoon? And then I see now it's a taxidermy thing. Taxidermy is such a weird thing. Like the people that like that kind of stuff. I mean, to me, it like makes sense in a natural history museum or something, or like at a zoo. But I don't know, owning something that's taxidermy, it just seems weird to me. I don't know what it is.
It's always made me a little uncomfortable. But
unless it's a deer head, for some reason I don't mind the deer heads. But
yeah, I guess people just really want to like show off what they've trapped or killed.
Yeah, one of my neighbors has a taxidermy penguin, a big old penguin in a case.
And that just fits in with their home decor?
I guess. I don't know. I feel like it would scare my children or something. Actually, no, I think Evie thought it was funny, but the cats would probably try to attack it.
That's amazing.
Oh, man. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3, in Massachusetts, a flock of sheep made their way to a solar farm looking for shade and ended up mowing the grass beneath the panels.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I wonder what it's serving. You know, they wanted to pay their way, you know?
I've never really thought about it, but apparently a big issue with solar farms is dealing with like the grass and weeds underneath because you can't exactly mow it easily.
Yeah, I mean, people, they think of solar and we're like, oh, it's green energy. But yeah, you have the issue of trying to mow it underneath, but also you're not really getting the sun. The grass isn't really getting the sunlight it needs either because the panel's sucking up all the sunlight.
Yeah.
And in order to have a big solar farm, a lot of times you have to basically tear down any type of other plants. so yeah, that's an interesting effect. I know that like places, what is it, Ireland or something, where they get goats and they have grass on their roofs too, and they just put goats up there to eat the grass.
I didn't know about the roofs, but I know that, like, I think there's a company somewhere that has goats that will bring them to your house to mow your lawn. And I think it's
nice.
like, I'm not even sure that they charge anything because it's feeding their goats.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they can come to my house if they want for a little bit. Mow some of that grass. I'm okay with that. It's hot outside. I don't know what to go.
I know what I've seen before that I wish would be implemented is putting solar panels over parking lots to keep it shaded.
Yeah, and I think some of that has, in certain areas, has been implemented. It does make a lot more sense. If you're going to do it, you put it on the roof of a building or you put it in a parking lot or, instead of putting it just in a giant grass field.
Right.
Or something. I mean, there's talk, too, about putting it in the desert, like you putting in a desert area because it doesn't really affect it. But, of course, then you have to get the energy to the areas from the desert. So.
And the problem with that is that oftentimes, the wind in the desert is going to blow sand on top of
that's true.
the solar
That's a good
panels,
point.
and you would have to have some sort of system in place to keep them clean.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. All right, what's number 2?
Number 2, Pitbull is about to be doing a concert at London's Hyde Park, and Aldi thought that they would be a part of this and have
a Pitbull concert. Aldi did. All right.
Yeah, and have a one-day only Baldy stand, so that Pitbull fans around the world showing up to the concert can get a bald cap and sunglasses to fit in and support Pitbull, I guess, because apparently his fans like to dress up as him at his concerts.
And he's bald, I guess, and so you're...
Are you not familiar with Pitbull?
Well, I am, but I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about the fact that's his main feature is that he's bald.
Yeah, bald with sunglasses and always wearing a suit.
The suit thing.
His fans are attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of people wearing bald caps.
Okay. That's actually kind of funny. I like that. What a weird world record.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right, what's number 1?
Number 1, a lawsuit has been filed as of a couple days ago by Meta employees alleging that the company has used AI systems to select workers for a July 22nd layoff. It has disproportionately targeted employees that are protected with medical and disability leaves.
So the AI was going to fire all the disabled people? The AI just didn't care. And no sympathy from that AI.
Yeah, they're claiming that they used a model called MetaMate, which is a, quote, second brain tracking communications and productivity scoring system based on keystrokes and system and screen monitoring.
So they got to put in the algorithm, don't target people with the disabilities.
Right, because it's people who have a disability, people who are pregnant, have temporary injuries, caretaking responsibilities, all sorts of things. And of course, Meta is denying the allegations, saying that the decisions are made by people, which I think makes it worse. If someone chose all of these people that have protected leaves.
Yeah, well, that would make it worse. They might as well, you're right, they might as well just blame the AI.
Yeah.
It really is an example, too, though, of AI is only as good as what you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't include certain things, it's just going to do what it does. It's not, it's not conscious. It doesn't have empathy. It's not going to think through those things. It's just doing what it's told.
Yeah.
And so, you're right, though. They're like, oh, we didn't do this. Oh, so people are just firing these people? Never mind. It was the AI. It was the robots.
Right. So
Yeah, that makes much more sense.
I'm interested to see what's going to come of that and what
Unfortunately,
they're
I
going to
could see that happening more with other businesses. Instead of having to make the decisions themselves, they just put it in an AI, and the AI makes the decision.
I feel like we're all just going to get dumber over time as
Look at
we
the
let
internet
AI
and social
make,
media.
we let AI make all of our decisions.
I mean, think about it. God, we could talk about this for an hour.
Yeah.
But in some ways, the internet can make you smarter because you have access to more information than ever.
Yes.
But what they found, especially with younger people, is because of that, young people don't memorize things. They don't think critically. They don't go through a process in their heads because, well, why would they? If they have a question, they just ask Alexa or something or Google.
Yeah,
So,
I could definitely talk about this for a very long time.
yeah. Yeah. So because of that, it messes with our functions. So it's like anything. It's like any other tool. There are good parts and bad parts, and you just have to understand that ahead of time to get around it, especially in our education system.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You're right. For some people, it is going to make people a lot dumber. There's no doubt about it. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. Thanks, Walker. Appreciate it. We'll be back with the Yaffee program rewind in a moment on WVNN.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
All right, back here on the Yaffee program, final segment of the show on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. We'll get to the rewind in a moment. Do want to tell you real quick about a great new sponsor of the show, my good friends at VIP Care, which is primary care with a heart for seniors. If you're listening right now and you're 65 or older, or maybe you have a family member who is that you're helping take care of, I understand it can be tough dealing with Medicare. It can be tough sometimes dealing with the way our healthcare system is today. I get it. That's why VIP Care exists. It's a local clinics designed for your comfort. With same-day appointments, more time with your doctor, and a team of Medicare experts, you get the care you need so you can enjoy life. Now, if you want to find a clinic near you, and there are locations across North and Central Alabama, go to the website right now, getvipcare.com, getvipcare.com. They don't just treat illnesses and symptoms. They find out what's causing them. Their doctors listen, ask questions, and work with you to create a care plan that fits your needs. Sounds great. So if you have a family member or maybe you yourself, you're 65 and older and trying to navigate this healthcare system, go to getvipcare.com. Make an appointment today. And when you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, let's do it. Let's end the show with the Yaffee program rewind. That time of the show where I remind you if you missed any of it live, well, the podcast will be up anywhere you get your podcasts, YouTube podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Amazon, wherever you get them, you can find it there. Just go to our website, WVNN.com, or download the WVNN app. So the first segment of the show, at the top of the show, I asked this question again, main question, what the hell is wrong with us? We were talking about some of the comments saying good riddance to Lindsey Graham, why we're celebrating death. I don't understand. But we also have these threats, not just against members of Congress, but also Supreme Court justices, to the fact that they're asking Congress for more money, funding for security. So two members of the Supreme Court spoke in front of the Senate yesterday. It was Amy Coney Barrett and Elena Kagan. Going to play the Amy Coney Barrett cut for me.
When threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago, around the time of the Dobbs leak, my security detail sent me home with a bulletproof vest, and I carried it into my house, put it into my bedroom, dropped it down on a table, turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was and why I had it, and I didn't know how to respond. Maybe I lack imagination, but I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one. Many of us, me included, have received threatening, anonymous deliveries designed to intimidate and harass us.
So there you go. Pretty sad state of affairs in our country. So we talked about that at the beginning of the show. The podcast is up. We also have the Alabama bullet points, the top stories from around the state. One of the stories I had is that U.S. Senator Katie Britt attended the swearing-in ceremony of Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene, as she has been appointed to that position. So we had that in the bullet points. Then we spoke with Congressman Barry Moore. He is running for the U.S. Senate, as you know. We talked about a lot of different things with him, all of the current issues. If you missed that interview, I'm sure I'll write about some of it at yellowhammernews.com. But the podcast will be up on the website, WVNN.com. I also talked about Tuberville, who is continuing to talk about the threat of radical Islamism. So we had a good conversation about that. I played some cuts. You can check that out on the podcast. Then, yes, we talked about this situation with ICE, as an ICE agent killed someone in Maine. They say it was because he was using the car a threat to public safety. So they had paused traffic stops. ICE had paused that type of thing for ICE agents, traffic stops. And Trump says no, he wants them to go back to doing traffic stops. And Tom Homan, who was Trump's border czar, did talk about this a little bit yesterday. Play the Tom Homan cut for me.
I talked to the ICE director last night. There's a schedule for distribution. Right now they're in the middle of train to trainer. I didn't ask for the deployment schedule, but he says he has a deployment schedule. And as soon as the train to trainer is done, the trainers will get the cameras and they'll deploy as quick as possible. I'm confident they're going to get back to their policy of vehicle stops, but they're doing, what they believe is a necessary short-term pause just to look at it and make sure everything's good. I don't know the specifics of these agents that are involved, but it's under investigation, and we'll find out how the investigation lands. We'll let the investigation play out, and where it lands, it lands. If officers acted inappropriately or illegally, they'll be held accountable, just like they were in Minnesota.
All right, so we talked about that earlier on in the show. The podcast is up. Then, yes, the daylight savings time debate, as members of the Alabama congressional delegation voted to keep daylight savings time permanent. Alabama has a law on that as well, but it has to pass the Senate. Most likely it's not going to pass the Senate. I feel like this is one of those issues where you're never going to be able to make everyone happy, because the fact of the matter is days get shorter parts of the year. That's just, no matter what we do, that's the reality. I can't believe we still are debating this issue. We have What's Trending earlier on as well. Check out the podcast of that. Thanks to Walker for producing today. Thanks to you for listening. The Vince Show is coming up next, and I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. See you then.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Scrolling with Haley. Join Haley Caronia as she scrolls through the biggest headlines.
If you haven't watched this show before, we do blind reactions. I have not seen these videos, so I am seeing them for the first time with all of you. We're going to implement the tinfoil hat time segments and all the stuff you know and love. And I'm going to finish the show and answer some of your questions. Someone asked me what made you get into podcasting, and I was producing podcasts for other people. And I was like, I could do this for myself, and here I am.
Scrolling with Haley. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.